Hail, hail, the Celts are here, and what the hell do we care anyway, guys? We've got Jota back, and everything's okay, isn't it? We went to Firhill, we won 3-1. There's a few bits of controversy in this, as well as a few developments throughout the squad that we've been tracking and monitoring throughout this season that took maybe another twist or a turn or another development in the aftermath of some of the transfer business that we've seen over the last couple of weeks. Beyond that, it was very much a bit of a groundhog SPFL match, really, wasn't it, for large parts of it. In the video today, we will break down everything we've seen and what developed in this match as we look ahead to the Dundee, Wraith and Bayern Munich kind of extra furlong on the ultra marathon that we've been going through throughout December and January, as well as player ratings, winners and losers and all that good stuff, of course. At any point in the video today, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We recently broke through 10,000 subscribers and we are flying towards 18,888, and we cannot do that without your support. So if you do enjoy the content here, hit subscribe for more, of course, and get into the comment section in this one. Let me know what you thought about the return of Jota, as well as any of the other developments that we go on to break down in the video today. And yeah, let's just get stuck straight into it. Because coming into this match, there wasn't a lot of pre-match expectation or excitement around anything other really than the potential return of Jota. There wasn't too many question marks around what would the starting 11 be, what would the team that and the tactics that Rodgers would deploy. But we actually seen a couple of little changes that I don't think were quite expected. Anthony Ralston coming in for Alistair Johnson, of course, and we've seen Luke McKeown come back into midfield for Arne Engels, and the return of the three wee guy midfield. Now we've only seen this midfield of McGregor, McKeown and Hatate, I think, 2 other times this season, and it has, it's not worked out very well in the other matches. But the front three definitely did pick itself and there was no surprises there. But I think to start off with the defence, because really, like, normally going away to Motherwell, it's normally one of those games where everyone needs full concentration. You cannot give the referee any chance to give them any sort of advantageous situation. And really, like, if you do take your eye off the ball, take your foot off the gas, whatever you want to think of it as, Motherwell are a team that can and generally do punish you. And they did bring this game level at one point to be 1 each, of course, through Armstrong's push on the back of Vickers, which VAR didn't intervene for, followed up by Trusty's error that leads to the goal. It gets trapped under his feet, under his knee, that sort of thing. Beyond that, really, there was 1 or 2 moments when they had like a set piece on the edge of the box and that sort of thing. But really, across the full 90 minutes, like, this wasn't a normal kind of Motherwell team. This felt much more like a Ross County type of effort, where it was 5 at the back, 3 midfield, trying to kind of stay in a row, be organised, drop back into defence when required as well, and just make those dirty tackles, get those, I say dirty, not like fouls or anything, but just, break up the play, do the smart thing at the right time, with then 2 forwards that aren't really pressing, but they're just making sure that the passing lanes aren't open and that there is like a small degree of pressure on the defence to zip the ball. And really, like, despite Motherwell, like, and I say they did make it 1 each for about 10 minutes or whatever, right? But despite them being so negative, or so maybe even neutral was maybe the better way of putting it. I wouldn't say they were overtly negative, but they certainly didn't really offer any sort of positive, free-flowing football or anything like that in this game. It did actually really up the ante for a lot of the possession that we had, and really in the first half, I don't think that we really got out of second gear for large spells of it, despite like Taylor and Ralston playing in fullback together. What we've seen in this match is generally what we've seen the last couple of times, where Ralston's actually quite comfortable doing a little bit of the Greg Taylors, in the sense of getting a bit closer to McGregor and kind of shielding off the back two, as it were. We know Ralston's really comfortable on the overlap and on the underlap. Of course, he gets the assist for the opening goal. But that kind of double base of inverted fullback that we've got here of Taylor, and Taylor was quite adventurous in this game, particularly on the left-hand side. We didn't really see him cross over that middle line in the pitch too much. But it did feel that as the game wore on, it gave a little bit more freedom to the likes of McGregor, McKeown and Hatate to start linking up. Now, in the early stages of the game, the midfield dynamic was quite similar to what we've seen in recent weeks, where McGregor is still the controller, he's still the linchpin in the middle here. But McKeown was doing a little bit more of the Engels of the Bernardo role this time, of being closer to McGregor and jumping forward and trying to support the attack when possible, with Hatate again being in that support forward role here. Although we know Hatate does recover back, he does cover basically every blade of grass on the pitch in this game as well. And without creating many chances in the first half, this simple system, or I say simple, but this kind of expected system of the players and the combinations that we've seen a few times being deployed in this match here, like I say, with the intensity that was needed in the passing, the amount of first touch, one-time passing that we've seen into channels, in and behind defenders, was exceptional. It was breathtaking. It was really enjoyable to see. It pays off fantastically, of course, for Daizen Maeda's goal, where Ralston floats it in for Maeda to finish it. And between that and the second goal, where it starts out with some nice play down the left-hand side from Hatate and McKeown, who are getting on the same side of the pitch here, it opens up a nice channel for Daizen to be played into before crossing it in for Idah to make it 2-1, get us back in front in the match. And both of those goals for me are very common routes to goal play patterns that we've seen from Celtic across this year, and sometimes they just don't go in, but it did feel that these, all the passes and all the moves were just so well synchronised that it wasn't really a surprise that we found the back of the net with these opportunities here, and it felt like there was going to be more goals to come as well. And in the aftermath of Kyogo leaving, this was a big game for Adam Idah to follow up the Aston Villa performance, to show that, hey, it's not just the under the lights and under the for the big TV cameras for Champions League, he's going to show up and do that sort of performance, but it's away at Firhill, it's away at Motherwell, do that hard running, do that hard graft. And especially as well for the OG that gets chopped off, where Idah runs the channel really good, gets into this position here. I've managed to go and get a still of it, because this warmed my heart no end. Now, despite the goal getting chopped off and all the rest of it, we did see a lot of passing, a lot of cutbacks in the final third, and it did feel that the front three were very well connected. Despite Nicholas Kuhn, I must say, it did feel that he, again for the second match in a row, never really got off the leash, never really got going often enough. But when Adam Idah breaks into the box for the cross that becomes the OG, when I'm watching the replays and I see this kind of sequence here, I've had to use the still frame, obviously, because we're not got copyright for using the moving images. The first thing that springs to my mind is, if this is Kyogo, look at the position here, look at where he is entering the box. You cannot tell me you do not know what Kyogo Furuhashi is going to do in this position here. And it's not square it for a cutback for one of his teammates, I'll tell you that for nothing. But sadly, that goal does get chopped off. And, there's a bit of controversy around the offside, the lines. And you know me on this channel, guys, we don't normally get into the weeds too much with some of the controversy, because when it comes to the football side of things, the manager, the team, the tactic, you can only, really hold on to the things that are completely within your control. Refereeing decisions and other players and all the rest of it, you're never going to have in your control. So it's just something, we can talk about it when it comes up and stuff like that, but it's not something I generally lose much sleep over or spend much time on. But I think when the first half ends, I've got a really strong feeling of, we've not really left second gear. Everyone's still quite in, maybe not quite an Aston Villa cool down, but certainly everyone's still operating at that kind of Champions League rev, that intensity, but they're not quite all the way up into third, fourth or fifth gear. They're operating at, quite firmly second gear, and everyone's wanting the third goal, just put the game beyond question, start to use the bench a little bit, that sort of thing. And you got to say, fair play to Motherwell throughout large portion of this game. When there's only one goal in it, they've kept themselves in it. They've not let themselves be cut wide open, despite the really nice sequence of plays where we're getting from McKeown, Hatate, and particularly in the second half, McGregor. This midfield three started to connect with each other a little bit more often. And yeah, there was a few times the ball turned over where McGregor didn't cover himself in glory, maybe similar with all three of the midfielders, really. I do think this combination of the three wee guys, but just isn't really the best combination for any one of them to really stand out, or for any one of them to overall excel. I do think Hatate was the best of the three overall in the game, to be quite honest with you, but it did feel that it lacked a little bit of muscle and lacked a little bit of drive power from the middle. Everything was still quite reliant on the ball being moved from left to right, or into space or into pockets. There wasn't too many players actually carrying the ball, driving in between the lines and doing that sort of thing, and we've seen that happen a little bit more from the bench. And I say, with Motherwell, they did hang in there, and fair play to them. They didn't really create many more chances beyond that, and they started to get affected quite badly by injuries as they started to make substitutions throughout the second half. But for me, it got really interesting from a Celtic point of view in the second half when we started to make substitutions. Now, the midfield dynamic that we've been paying attention to here on the channel is what we constantly see. The Hatate will be on the left-hand side of midfield here, and really the triangles that were made on this side of the pitch with Rio, Taylor and Daizen were the most effective in this match. Ralston not being Alistair Johnson, of course, and with McKeown and then later Engels, the right-hand side maybe isn't quite as well oiled, and Jota obviously coming on for Kuhn here. But I do think the left, just to highlight that at this point, you can tell these guys have been playing together for years. It was really synchronised is probably the best word for it, and we just really went forward at will on that side of the pitch when at all possible. I did think Engels was a good introduction for that bit of driving power. Again, didn't really contribute too much in the match, but again, when he came on, he goes onto the right side of midfield where where, again, I think Engels' best position has been on that left-hand side, so an interesting little kind of footnote here. But when we do see Jota coming on to the right-hand side here for Nicholas Kuhn, now, where is Jota going to play? Where is Nicholas Kuhn going to play? Where is Maeda and Adam Idah all going to fit into this front three puzzle, never mind any incoming transfers that we might have? So Jota coming on to the right-hand side I thought was quite telling, because in Jota's first stint at Celtic, it was very much, if he was playing, he was on the left and Daizen would be on the right. But such is the form that we've got with Daizen Maeda here, I thought it quite interesting that he kept that kind of seniority almost, where it's like, no, the left wing is mine. I've been out here, I've been scoring, I've been grafting, and even in this game, I've been scoring and creating assists from this side of the pitch. So I'm staying out here. George Michael, you can hang on the right-hand side here. And really, it didn't look comfortable on the right-hand side. We've seen this the first time when Jota was at Celtic, that it can play both wings. Both these guys can swap sides kind of at will, but you get more out of both of them on the left quite clearly. And you could feel we were getting out of second gear by this point. It maybe felt like we were pushing into third, because Jota wants to get his account back open. Daizen is having a great game, and you know Adam Idah is loving the fact that he knows he's not getting subbed off for Kyogo on the 60th minute. And again, like I felt Idah in both games, Aston Villa and this one, like he's got a bit of a weight off his shoulder. It's not that he's not trying to please the manager, but in that previous case of like him versus Kyogo, he's got in his mind the whole time, I've got to do everything exactly the way Brendan wants it to be done if I'm going to get that guy's shirt, if I'm going to get that guy's spot in the team. And yeah, you do want there to be competition for places, but there is something to be said for a guy like Idah knowing, I'm the main striker, I'm playing, I'm going to get 75 minutes rather than 60, 65, and if he gets his goal, maybe there's a fair chance he gets 90, and you felt that kind of little bit of freedom. And really, one of the things that I always enjoy, and I've made the joke already about Kyogo never passing, right, but again, Idah was really good and really happy to try and lay off other players, and it did feel a wee bit deja vu to me from when we first seen Trusty with Vickers. Is I'm still a scales over Trusty guy, right, but sometimes the Trusty Vickers thing just feels a little bit more like hand in glove. And that front three, with Idah through the middle, all the combinations that we've seen of it, it just felt a lot more intuitive. It just felt a lot more synchronised. There's that word again. But Idah comes off on the 79th minute for Yang, and this had all Celtic fans, I think, with their ears perked up, their eyes widened, like, oh, what does this mean? It means Yang's going over to the right, it means Daizen's coming in through the middle, and it means Jota's going over to the left. And really, like, this is going to be the way the front three is going to shape up, isn't it? We'll talk about Bayern Munich and other matches in due course, right? But Jota, Daizen and Kuhn feels like it could be quite special when it's on full throttle and it's really synchronised, well oiled and all that good stuff. And Yang, again, like, Yang is what more can we say about Yang at this point? You know, he's fine, isn't he? And again, like, for this situation, for the most of the situations we've found ourselves requiring his services in, like, he's been fine enough, hasn't he? Without being spectacular, right? We know that. Without being great, he's not doing the shirt much honour or anything like that, you know, but he's certainly not letting the side down, far from it. And with Jota on the left here, there was a wee moment where Hatate gets into the edge of the box for a bit of a counter-attack, and he tries to slip in Daizen, ends up coming to Yang for a bit of a shot. He's a wee bit unlucky not to score, by the way. Nice kind of touch and shoot, but Jota's left on the edge of the picture here with his arms out going, Hatate, mate, I thought we were pals. You've left me hanging out to dry here in front of the away fans, and, you know, you could just feel that the next goal was coming. You know, Motherwell weren't really going to be giving us much, and with fresh legs, fresh motivation, fresh impetus coming into the squad, it was only going to be a matter of time with wee Daizen buzzing around in here as well, because as much as Idah puts in a good shift and really does press, like, nobody presses like Daizen, do they? Hitate's race is then ran, and he comes off for Bernardo. And again, to follow on this kind of midfield dynamic that we're getting here, Bernardo comes over to the right hand side of midfield, with Engels trapping over to the left to finish the match, and then Taylor finishes off the match on the bench, with Scales coming on to deputise for him as well. And this is Scales reaching full Scaldini form here, with the long locks and everything, and strutting up and down the line here from left back. But he's like a centre back, but he can be a wee bit of a left back. And you know, Scales very adventurous in this position, and maybe just gave us a little bit more muscle in the closing minutes to just keep a bit higher up the pitch to make, you know, that third goal happen, to give us that final push, to push the envelope through. With Bernardo's muscle, Engels' driving power on the pitch as well. Like, this does feel like the team at the back anyway is really buffed up, and in the front is got a bit lighter and a bit quicker and a bit more dynamic. So we're seeing some different combinations here, really starting to show a different side to the team. And for Jota's goal to put the game beyond doubt, just to really finish off where the Kyogo doesn't pass stuff and we can close that chapter. Again, I'll show you this still frame of Daizen Maeda as he breaks through before he squares it up for Jota. You cannot tell me in a month of Sundays that Kyogo is ever going to pass that ball to somebody else. And like I said earlier, it just felt like all combinations of the front line were just playing for each other a little bit more. There was a lot more of a team ethic. There was more passes in the final third. Ultimately, we got a few more shots away than we normally do. And the good chances actually ended up hitting the back of the net, even if they were later on chopped off or whatever as well. We didn't even mention Nicholas Kuhn's bicycle kick that got chopped off as well. And really, it was a great storybook end to a game that, like I say, it was very much Groundhog Day for a lot of Celtic fans that watched all the SPFL matches, especially because it was attack versus defence. We had all the possession, we had a good couple of chances, our bench made the difference, and ultimately the quality of the team is what made the difference on the day. And when we come to look at the player ratings, there can only be one man of the match for me, and that is Anthony Ralston. I'm only joking, but he does finish this game 89.9 out of 100 on the ratings here with his assist, really boosting his performance, of course. Defence, not too much going on here, but 6 duels won, only 1 lost, 1 interception, 99 accurate passes for Anthony Ralston, and I beg your pardon, I almost said Alistair Johnson else. I was about to say, we never see Alistair Johnson really clocking that volume of passes in games like this, and Ralston was, like I mentioned on the tactics board earlier, a little bit more generally conservative in possession. I know he did bomb on and got some crosses in and stuff, his assist of course, but he was much more an inverted fullback almost when we were in possession and just really controlling the game. 7 balls into the box for him, 1 attempted assist, 1 actual assist. So highest rated performer on the day was Anthony Ralston, but for me the actual man of the match has to be Daizen Maeda, who 1 goal, 2 assists, 88.8 out of 100. He did have 2 big chances miscredited to him, which is the only thing stopping him hitting 100 out of 100 in this match here. Big chances were created, shots on target, he won dribbles, he got into the box, all that good stuff. He won 5 duels, but he did lose 4. As long as he's winning more than he's losing, for a striker like Maeda, we can be happy with that. But we would like the percentage to be a wee bit better. Out of his 23 accurate passes, only 4 of them were missed, 14 of them in the final third, which is good to see. Only, and I say only, possession lost 9. If that's single figures, we're always happy with that, with the wide players in particular. Not much else to write home besides that, but certainly the match winner on the day here. The third highest rated player on the day was Greg Taylor, who again, I think a lot of people are clapping, and giving Greg Taylor his flowers after this game. He put in a great domestic performance, again further highlighting the strengths and the qualities domestically that he clearly does offer us and is certainly a Celtic level player. 2 tackles, 1 clearances were there as well. Duels won and lost, again like I'm talking about in these wide areas, you're involved in a lot of duels, and as long as it's positive, we're going to be happy with that. 109 accurate passes for Taylor is pretty obscene at left back as well. 11 balls into the box, a few big chances created. Now that makes me want to check the centre backs. Austin Trusty finishes with a 55 rating out of 100. He does have an error led to goal credited to him, which reduces his rating here by 20 points. But wow, he had 122 accurate passes in this game. Dual success is really good, 8 over 2, no interceptions, 2 tackles, 1 nice. And Carter Vickers, what was his pass count like? 111, Jesus. That is exceptional. Good dual count from Vickers here, 5 over 3. Tackles and box and clearances and all that are all pretty effective as well. I wonder how many passes McGregor got, only 68. So this is something we've seen over the last month or so, where the defence aren't hitting McGregor as often as they used to, or as often as maybe we would kind of stereotypically think they are. The ball is going into into Hatate and into McCowan a lot more often. Hatate actually clocking the same amount of passes as McGregor here is quite telling, 63 there. Good final third presence for him without having a goal or an assist. 45.9 out of 100 for him. Luke McCowan, chocolate bar. Again, statistically, not maybe much home to write about here. 5 duels lost, 0-1, I think, is for any of you out there that on the eye test were saying McCowan did not have a good game today. That's probably a little bit of it. 6 missed passes, 16 possession lost. Let's go and compare that to Tate. 20. Now, Tate's getting into the final third a little bit more, but still big numbers. Only 8 for McGregor. So yeah, McGregor and McCowan and Hatate are the ones taking all the kind of riskier balls, risky possession. Maeda we've already looked at, beg your pardon. But Adam Idah, the goal scorer, 62, could have had a little bit more action in this if it wasn't chopped off for offside and all the rest of it. He does have a big chance missed. 3 shots on target, 3 duels lost, none won. I think that'll be changed on Opta review because I do think he definitely won some duels, had a wee dribble or two to his name. Good performance from Idah. But actually the 4th highest rated player in the match was Jota. Getting his goal off the bench, bringing in a 68 out of 100. He got 2 shots on target, one from the edge of the box, one his goal obviously. A contest one, a nice little dribble, a couple of balls into the box, an attempted assist there. The duels you can see, even Jota only on the pitch for 20 minutes, lost possession 8 times, just to give that statistic a little bit more context. And not much else, but great to see Jota with a scoring, a heroic return to the pitch as well, in a game that will be probably quickly forgotten by Celtic fans because we're on to bigger and better things quite quickly. We've got the Bayern Munich game that we're hoping we don't get absolutely creamed in, and we're hoping that maybe we can have a bit of a fairy tale moment in. Whether we do or not is going to be down to the preparation and the squad that Brendan Rodgers is going to be putting the team through at the moment, as well as what business does get done before the January transfer window closes. We're going to be reviewing and covering all of that stuff here on the channel over the next couple of days. If you want to check that out, if you've enjoyed this video, please do hit the subscribe button and hit the little notification bell. We don't upload that often, but when we do, it just means YouTube will tell you there's a new video out there. If you did enjoy the video, please do hit the like button. On screen now some other stuff that we've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Don't forget to get into the comment section in this one. Tell me what I got wrong, what I got right, what your thoughts and feelings are. Who was your man of the match? What's your big takeaways from the match? And how good is it to have Jota back? Hail, hail, and moan the hoops.